Benchmark, the voice of business. Presented by LMD.
On this week's edition of Benchmark, in our first installment, we survey the state of biz confidence with the LMD Nielsen Business Confidence Index, which registered some out-of-this-world results in April. Then in our feature segment, we turn the spotlight on Deshabandhu Surath Wickramasinghe for his views on the government's mega development spree in and around our capital city. And we wrap up this edition by asking Shaheen Khadr, Managing Director of the Nielsen company Lanka, whether the euphoric corporate mood will last. That's the lineup for Benchmark this week. Hello and welcome to Benchmark. I'm Savitri Rodrigo. This week, we take a look at the LMD Nielsen Business Confidence Index as biz sentiment takes off in a milieu that's overflowing with optimism. Since the war's end in May 2009, the LMD Nielsen BCI has oscillated within a relatively narrow 40-point range between 133 and 173. In the preceding 24 months, its trajectory meandered between 61 in the aftermath of the Colombo Fort's LTTE bombing in mid-2008 and 112 when President Mahinda Rajapaksa masterminded a military victory over the LTTE in early 2009. That, in a nutshell, is what Sri Lanka's war against terrorism victory has done for the business psyche. In April, the BCI regained the ground it lost since the beginning of the year. Its ascent by 20 basis points from March takes the index to 170. And that's a mere 3 notches shy of its 12-month high in October and 8 points below the all-time high of more than 8 years ago. Shaheen Khadr, the Nielsen company Lanka's managing director, believes that concerns over the flood impact and inflation have been dispelled, with the economy growing at a significant 8% in 2010. Later on in the show, we ask him to elaborate on this statement. In the meantime, it seems that with the 2010 growth rate being the highest in 3 decades, optimism about medium-term economic growth has propelled the BCI's recovery. From a simple majority of 51% in the March poll, nearly 60% now believe that Sri Lanka's economy will improve in the coming 12 months. And only 14% are worried about our economic prospects taking a turn for the worse, compared to nearly a third only 2 months ago. Asked what their most pressing business issues are today, corporate types continue to mention the cost of living, borrowing rates and the tax regime. But those percentages are lower than what they've been in the recent months. For example, nearly 4 in 5 cited inflation as being a burning issue at the beginning of the year, and more than 6 in 10 said the same about interest rates just a month ago, and over 3/4 mentioned tax rates as recently as in February. As one would expect, especially given its allegiance to the ruling party, the central bank's release of its 2010 annual report last month was tinged with the now typical optimism that many call rhetoric. For instance, we are told that, quote, following the 8% growth in the economy in 2010, in the medium term, the economy is expected to grow by 8 to 9% per annum, unquote. The reasoning for this projection is manifold, and it includes greater capacity utilization with the development of infrastructure facilities, the agriculture renaissance aided by the reawakened North and East, productivity improvements and trade and services expansion. When it comes to biz trends, the pollsters report that a noteworthy 71% of respondents expect sales volumes to get better in the medium term, and less than 1 in 10 says the opposite. And the long and short of the globe's troubles since this time last month is that there's still concern over Japan's plight and the ongoing spectre of revolt in the Arab world and its impact on oil prices. One commodity broker described this situation in an interview with Reuters as a powder keg attached to a slow-burning fuse. That's as succinct as one can be about the unknown. Back on home ground, there's a 2 percentage point improvement in how Sri Lanka's FDI prospects are viewed by its own business people. But the number that says the outlook is very good has declined from 25 to 11 of the 100 executives polled. A respondent to the pollsters' April round of questions says that the economy seems to be more stable nowadays and may improve further. But for this to happen, foreign investment and therefore investor confidence is key. In contrast, another participant complains that the mismanagement of public property and funds are major concerns, as are government debt and related interest payments. Another respondent sees both sides of the coin. There are both good and bad signs, he explains, citing development activities in the north and east on the one hand, but he laments that the benefits are not being realized because of political influences and bribery and corruption at various levels. It's time now for a quick break for some messages from our sponsors, and when we come back, we talk to Deshabandhu Surath Vikramasinghe about how infrastructure development around the nation is panning out. Stay with us.